We've got sources talking about these new, completely anonymous ways to generate online traffic. Massive traffic, apparently. One uses viral video, the other something called AI ranking. The promises are, well, huge. They talk about bypassing all the usual stuff, editing, being on camera, complex tech. So our mission today is really to get past the hype, figure out the actual mechanics these strategies might be using.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, I think, is how both systems seem to operate on this core belief. The belief that the platforms themselves, like, YouTube's algorithm or these big AI models like ChatGPT, they're actually rewarding something different now, something based more on maybe consistency or structured data, less about the human touch or fancy production. And if you can figure out what the machine wants, well, that's supposedly the key to repeatable traffic. That's what we need to dig into for you, the listener.
Exactly. So if you're maybe fed up spending hours editing a video and it just flops, or your old SEO tricks just aren't working like they used to, we're diving into what's claimed to be a repeatable system designed for engineered viral traffic. Not just luck, but before we just accept the claims, we really need to understand how it's supposed to work. Okay, let's start with the video side then, this invisible traffic system. The name attached to it is Shane Nathan, who's the general manager of Warrior Plus. Now, we kind of have to mention right off the bat, when the GM of a big affiliate platform promotes a system, well, there's an incentive there, obviously. The sources show some, frankly, jaw-dropping results. But we need to look at why those results might have happened.
That's a really important distinction. We're analyzing the mechanics, not, endorsing anything. So the core idea is these faceless AI-powered videos. They claim, get this, less than 10 minutes to create one, using mostly free AI tools. No camera, no human voice needed, no complex editing. That right there, it solves the scaling issue immediately, doesn't it?
No editing. That's the bit that jumps out. But then, what makes a video like that? Unedited, synthetic, compelling enough for YouTube to push it to, 600,000 people? It can't be the personality.
Well, the sources suggest it's about prioritizing the exact video format YouTube is pushing right now. What does that actually mean, technically speaking? It seems to mean moving away from that very personal, high-emotion influencer style and moving towards something more data-dense. Fast-paced information delivery. It looks like the algorithm favors stuff that scores high on non-human interaction metrics.
Okay, like what? Give us some examples of those technical things.
Could think about maybe kinetic text. Text that moves fast, highlights points, often sync to music beats. That keeps your eyes glued.
Yeah.
And secondly, the clarity of these high-quality machine voices. They're actually really good for automated captions and translation, so that boosts accessibility scores. And this is key. It seems to boost retention rates because the information density is so high. The voice is clear, the text is moving. You actually have to pay close attention to keep up.
That's fascinating. So YouTube isn't necessarily rewarding a better story, maybe, but a better way to just transfer data quickly. Okay, let's look at Shane's results again with that in mind. First channel, over 628,000 views, 5,300 subscribers. That's pretty solid.
It is. But the real test is always replication, right? Can it be done again? So he apparently tried it in a completely different niche, and the results came even faster. That second channel, in under 3 weeks, hit over 276,000 views. And the kicker was a single video getting, 63,900 views on a channel just 5 days old.
Wow. 5 days old. Getting that kind of traction with no face, no existing brand, that just signals the algorithm doesn't care about traditional brand building in this context. It's purely about volume and hitting the right technical marks.
And this is where the real leverage comes in, according to the sources. Building these invisible assets, the viral views, they're just the start. They're the fuel. Yeah. Shane apparently uses that traffic not just for maybe ad revenue, but to build an email list, which is an asset he totally controls, right? Independent of YouTube changing its mind. So the goal is anonymous growth that leads to an income stream you own. You trade off maybe that personal brand loyalty, but you gain speed and back-end control. Needs good monetization on the back end, though.
Okay, so the strategy seems clear. Use the algorithm's current bias, whatever that is, seems to be structured, fast, faceless stuff, get traffic fast, and then immediately funnel that traffic somewhere you own, like a list, before the platform's rules change again. Makes sense.
Right. So if the faceless video thing tackles video platforms, this second system, this free traffic tsunami, this is all about the huge shift in how people find information now. And the trigger date they keep mentioning is November 30, 2022, the day ChatGPT was released to the public.
Yeah, our sources are basically saying that date kicked off the decline of traditional search. The argument is millions of us are just skipping Google's search results page now. We're asking AI tools directly for answers, for recommendations.
We're shifting from typing keywords to just asking questions in plain language. And that means we need to shift from traditional Google SEO thinking to this idea of AI ranking. We should probably define that clearly. AI ranking isn't about optimizing for Google's web crawlers anymore. It's about optimizing the structure of your content, making it match the exact way these large language models, these LLMs, summarize information and cite their sources.
Okay, so when we talk about platforms like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, X's Grok, Facebook's Llama, what are we optimizing for? What does it really mean to get your content baked into that answer box?
Good question. Being baked in essentially means the AI model decides your content is the most definitive or citable source for a specific question someone asks it. Remember, these LLMs are trained on just vast amounts of text. When you ask a question, they try to synthesize a single trustworthy answer. So if your content is structured really clearly, maybe as a bulleted list or a direct Q&A format, or it has verifiable data points with clear headings, you basically make it super easy for the AI to grab your stuff and use it as the primary source for its summary.
Got it. So you're basically formatting your stuff to be easily digestible by the machine, making it easy for the AI to summarize and cite you. And that just sidesteps all the competition on Google's page one, potentially.
Exactly. And the sources really stress the big benefit here, permanence. Once the AI decides your link or your summary is the answer, like that example they gave of their friend Chad whose stuff on Side Hustles got picked up, it just stays there for millions of users to access because it's kind of embedded authority link.
That sounds incredibly powerful. Zero friction, right? You're not trying to convince someone to click. You are the answer they were looking for. But how realistic are these claims of seeing traffic in like 48 hours? That sounds incredibly fast compared to traditional SEO.
Well, the speed might actually be plausible because it isn't traditional search. The idea is to target active niches where people are asking the AIs lots of questions, but maybe there aren't many good, structured, potentially monetized answers available for the AI to find yet. The mini software they mention is supposedly designed to automate creating that hyper-optimized, citation-ready content structure. Makes it accessible, they claim, even if you're not technical. The real value probably isn't the copy-paste part, but knowing what structure the AI wants.
Okay, so let's break down what's actually being offered for this AI ranking system. It seems like two main things. There's this AI traffic machine mini software that formats the content, and then this step-by-step guide that's supposedly crucial. It reveals how to optimize differently for each big AI tool, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Llama.
Yeah, and that tailoring part is key because each LLM is different. They have different ways they cite sources, different knowledge cutoff dates, they were trained differently. So optimizing for Google's Gemini probably needs slightly different, schema tags or data points than optimizing for something like Grok, which aims to be less censored. The strategy seems to be about dominating all of them at once.
And the sources say this works for pretty much any niche, any topic, product, service, affiliate offers, coaching, info products, even local businesses. If people might ask an AI about it, you can apparently position yourself as the answer.
And connecting this back to the bigger picture, the sources keep hammering this point about the early mover window. Get in now, they say, bake in your links, edge out your competition, maybe permanently. We kind of have to ask why the urgency? Why is timing supposedly so critical here?
Well, they use some pretty strong language, don't they? Comparing it to actual gold rushes. Early SEO, early Google ads, the first YouTube boom, even early Bitcoin investors in 2011. That's not just a casual comparison. That implies, massive potential returns for the first people in.
Right. To justify that kind of comparison, you'd look for common factors in those historical examples. In the early days of SEO, what did we have? Low competition. The platform rules were still being figured out. Google's algorithm was simpler, easier to influence. Early Google ads, they cost pennies because nobody really understood the auctions yet. The platforms themselves, whether it was Google back then or these AI machines, now they're still developing their rules, their citation policies. They're more permeable, maybe.
And the risk for the early people is maybe lower compared to the potential upside.
Sure.
But once the AIs get more sophisticated, put up stricter controls, maybe refine how they scrape data, that window closes fast.
Exactly. Once millions of people are trying to do this, the cost and effort to rank in AI answers will inevitably go way up. Just like SEO became this whole professional industry, those claims of seeing traffic in 48 hours, that might become a story people tell about the good old days. This period right now is likely the time of maximum leverage with minimum resistance from the platforms themselves.
Which then leads to this final kind of advanced business potential they mention. Selling this whole method as a high-ticket, like six-figure done-for-you service. So instead of using it for your own stuff, you become the expert getting other high-level entrepreneurs recognized by the AI fast. Within 48 hours, they claim.
Yeah, that changes the whole game. Now you're selling authority. You're selling defensive positioning. Top entrepreneurs, they need their expertise reflected accurately by AI. It's becoming the new PR battleground. If their summary, their link is what ChatGPT spits out, they effectively control the narrative right at the point where people are looking for information. It's foundational. Hashtag tag outro.
So where does all this leave us? We've looked at two strategies here. Distinct, but maybe complementary. Both seem to throw out the need for polished production, for being a personality. Instead, it's all about hyper-optimization for these two sort of new gatekeepers of information. One is the YouTube algorithm with its apparent preference for this data-dense, faceless stuff. The other is the AI machines needing structured, easy-to-cite sources for their answers.
Yeah, it really boils down to a dual strategy for building these optimized, repeatable, almost invisible assets. You use one method to generate quick, anonymous traffic to build an owned asset, like your email list. And at the same time, you use the other method to embed your core offers, your expertise, directly into the systems where search seems to be heading.
It definitely challenges that traditional idea of the content creator, doesn't it? Maybe you don't need to be an influencer anymore. Maybe you need to be more like an information architect. Which I guess leaves us with a final thought, maybe a provocative one for you, the listener. Given these claims and the visible trend of people turning to AI for quick answers instead of scrolling search results, if you're not actively working on getting your offers, your knowledge embedded in those AI answer boxes now, are you set up to ride this potential free traffic tsunami? Or is there a risk you might get left behind, relying on platforms whose rules are maybe already becoming yesterday's news?